today's question is, how did the context of Muhammad's life shape the rise of Islam? So, although we often think of Islam as this ancient Arabian religion that rose up because it had a very violent and powerful leader, the context of Muhammad's life, Muhammad's interaction with the Christian world helped him form his heretical beliefs, and the decline of Rome gave him the opportunity to make his religion into an empire. So the three ways that context of Muhammad's life shaped the rise of Islam. Firstly, Muhammad lived in a place where there was a tribal society. Second, Byzantine and the Sassanid empires had grown weak. And third, the division in Christianity also lent itself to the rise of Islam. So first, there was this tribal society that made it really easy for Muhammad to come in and to conquer and stuff like that. So there was the Roman state of the Ghassanids and the Persian state of the Lakhmids. These were client states that basically protected the two empires from invasion, I guess. I don't know. They were client states, whatever the heck that means. Anyway, these two, Lakhmids and Ghassanids, they formed a lot of the Arabian culture, and Muhammad would draw on this culture. The other point to this is that tribal diversity meant that there was no unified opposition to Islam. So because it was a tribal society, there was no one Arab army that was going to come and march against Islam. And this one example of this is how Muhammad used tribal conflict to gain power in, wait for it, what's the city called? In Medina. Yes, in Medina. So Medina was this city that Muhammad came to, and there was a lot of tribal conflict. So how he gained power, he said, guys, I'll lead you and I'll solve all your problems if you will convert to my religion. So the people are like, great, we got this guy that will solve all our problems if we convert to Islam. So that's what he did, and that's how he gained power. So we can kind of see that kind of tribal conflict let this religion come in. And Firas al-Khatib, who comes up with these names? Firas al-Khatib says, before the arrival of Islam, there was no major world power that dominated the Arabian Peninsula. So yeah, it's kind of this everybody fend for your tribe culture that led to the rise of Islam. And then the second part of this lecture is that the Byzantine and Sassanid War gave rise to Islam also. So Byzantine and Sassanid, basically Roman and Persian conflict, specific war lasted from 602 to 628. And this was right around the time that Muhammad received his first vision at 610, is when he first received his vision from Gabriel. So you can see in this timeline that there was shakiness in the two powers of the Arabian Peninsula, and they were fighting amongst each other. So here this small little religion crept up on these weakened empires and overtook them. It's crazy. Muhammad's Parker described it in the lecture as being right place right time, right place at the right time. Muhammad just had perfect, impeccable timing and kind of luck in having this vision from Gabriel right around this time that this conflict was. So yeah, both the Byzantine and Sassanid empires had grown a lot weaker, and Islam could easily get power. Basically, so George Liska says the war left both empires crippled. So about this war, little summary or story of the war. Byzantine Sassanid War lasted for about 16 years, if I'm doing my math right, and it started with the Persian Empire wanting to revenge the Emperor Maurice of Byzantine, who had been executed by the now emperor. That makes absolutely no sense. But anyway, Persians were mad at the Byzantines. They fought. Eventually, the Byzantines' emperor was killed by another Byzantine named Heraclius. I don't know. Anyway, Heraclius takes power and says, "Hey, Persians, we want peace." But the Persians say, "Heck to the no, we want power." So they fight, and eventually, by 628, Persians finally surrender. Not surrender, I don't know. Anyway, Byzantines have victory, and after this, the Persians kind of struggled to reestablish power. So if you can imagine, after a war between a 16-year war, resources for both the Byzantines and the Persians were depleted, and their men were tired and old. And so when Islam came around and was powerful, it had no one to defend. It had no one to defend itself against them. I don't know. Anyway, just right place, right time. This war just made it easier for Islam to take power. Oh, and Rodney Stark says both Byzantium and Persia were exhausted by many decades of fighting one another. Okay, so thirdly, divisions within Christianity weakened its ability to defend itself. So one thing about Islam that we have to remember as Christians is that it is not a new religion. It is a religion that is a Christian heresy. And in the lecture, it says it well when it says it emerged within a context of widespread regional heresy. So this was just another heresy among all these other heresies. And Hilary Belloc says Islam was a heresy. It began as a heresy, not as a new religion. It was not an alien enemy. It was the perversion of the Christian doctrine. So that really is important to remember. This is not a new religion. This is a perverted Christian heresy. And then Rodney Stark says Byzantine... Oh yeah, wait, that's for later. Gotta get to the anecdote first. So during this time that Muhammad was getting these visions and Islam was beginning, was also the time when North Africa was Aryan. And it wasn't that big of a step for the North Africans to go from Aryanism to Islam, because if we remember back to Aryanism, Aryans believed that Jesus was not a deity. Jesus was a created being. So Islam just took it a step further and said that Jesus was just a prophet. There's a lot of division and heresy in the church. And also, people in North Africa, as Rodney Stark puts it, Byzantine rulers were so hated that the Arabs were welcomed as deliverers, which is kind of funny. So yeah, North Africans were kind of done with Arianism, and we're like, oh, this Islam thing looks interesting. So anyway, that is how the context of Muhammad's life shaped the rise of Islam. Firstly, the tribal society he lived in. Secondly, the Byzantine and Sassanid War that left both empires weak. And thirdly, the divisions in Christianity all led to the rise of Islam.